Hey, coin enthusiasts! You're about to hear a story that'll make you take another look at that pocket change you've been tossing around. You know that penny you just found under the couch cushion or at the bottom of your laundry basket? Well, hold on to it, because it could be worth a lot more than you think. Imagine finding a coin worth $1.1 million. Sounds like a dream, right? But for one lucky person, that's reality. Today, we're diving into the surprisingly valuable 1986 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Trust me, you're going to want to keep watching. Alright, let's break this down. You're probably thinking, a 1986 penny? Isn't that just another penny? And to the untrained eye, yes, it might look like just any old penny. But here's the kicker: this specific penny, with no mint mark, could fetch up to $1.1 million on the market. Yes, you heard that right, $1 million. And now, let's talk about what makes this penny so special. The 1986 no-mint mark penny is part of a rare group of coins that was produced with a flaw. You see, most pennies are minted in specific locations, which means they have a mint mark. But this particular 1986 penny was produced in Philadelphia, and it's missing that little mark that usually indicates where the coin was made. In short, that tiny detail makes it rare, and rare coins are like gold in the collector's world. Why does this missing mint mark matter so much? Well, it's because coin collectors love those oopsie moments, when a coin comes out of the mint with something that wasn't planned. It's like finding a surprise in your cereal box, only instead of a plastic toy, it's a ticket to a treasure trove. Now, let's go a little deeper into the history. Back in 1986, the US Mint was rolling out pennies like it was no big deal. But when this little error popped up, a batch of pennies without a mint mark, they didn't exactly raise any alarms. It wasn't until later that collectors realized how rare they were, and suddenly, this mistake became a golden opportunity for investors and collectors alike. Here's the thing: not every 1986 penny is worth $1.1 million. You've got to find the right one in great condition. If it's beat up from years of being in someone's pocket, it won't have that $1 million value. But if you've got one that's in mint or near mint condition, well, you could be looking at a serious windfall. Speaking of rare finds, I'll tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a flea market, just browsing around, the usual looking for treasure kind of thing. I picked up a box of old coins for like $10. I didn't expect much, but hey, who doesn't love a good bargain? Turns out, hidden in that box was an old silver dollar that I had no idea could be worth over $200. It was a classic "I can't believe this is happening" moment. So I get it. You might be thinking, who knew a penny could be so valuable? But believe me, with a little knowledge and a bit of luck, you could end up with a coin that's worth a lot more than you think. Now, let's talk about the market for these bad boys. The price of a 1986 no-mint mark penny depends on its condition, of course. But even in just good condition, it can go for a few $1,000s. If it's well preserved, collectors might fork out tens of thousands. And that's before we even talk about if you've got a perfect specimen. A gem quality coin could reach the $1 million mark. So, don't be in a rush to throw away the change jar just yet. How do you know if you've got one of these $1 million pennies? It's actually pretty simple: look for that mint mark. The 1986 penny from Philadelphia is the one without a mint mark. If it has an D or S, it's not the one we're talking about. But if you're still not sure, grab a magnifying glass, take a good look, and make sure that coin is as flawless as you think it is. Now, some of you might be wondering, how do I sell a coin like this? Great question. The market for rare coins is pretty active, but you'll need to find a reputable coin dealer or auction house. Don't just go listing it on eBay and hope for the best. Do some research, find a buyer who specializes in rare coins, and be prepared for some serious negotiations. Alright, coin lovers, that's all the scoop on the 1986 no-mint mark penny. Who knew a little piece of metal could be worth so much, right? But this just goes to show, always check your spare change. You never know when you'll find a rare treasure. Trust me, it happened to me, and it could happen to you. If you want to stay ahead of the game and keep up with the world of valuable coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to ring the bell so you won't miss out on future tips and tricks for finding coins worth money. After all, you never know, the next coin you pick up could be worth a fortune. Got a coin story of your own? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your experiences with rare finds. Until next time, happy hunting, and keep your eyes peeled, those pennies might just make you rich. Hey, coin enthusiasts! Ever wondered what a penny from 1991 could be worth? I mean, you probably have a ton of 91 pennies rolling around in that jar at home, right? Well, grab that jar because today, we're diving into the story of the 1991 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that could have you sitting on a small fortune worth $1.2 million. Yep, you heard me right, $1.2 million. That's not a typo. So sit tight, because by the end of this video, you might just look at your pennies in a whole new way. Alright, let's get into it. So you're probably thinking, how on earth does a 1991 penny end up being worth that much money? I mean, it's just a penny, right? Well, before we jump into that, let's talk about the basics. The 1991 D-Mint Mark penny is one of those coins that you'd barely give a second glance to if you found it in your pocket change. It has Abraham Lincoln's face, which, by the way, doesn't really age, does it? He looks just as dignified in 1991 as he did in the 1860s. But that little D-Mint mark on the back, well, that's where the magic happens. Now, here's the kicker. This penny is not your average coin. You see, the 1991 D is one of those rare cases where a small production mistake made it super valuable. Some of these pennies were made with a double die error. Basically, when the die was used to stamp the coins, it was misaligned. So, what you get is a penny that has a little extra oomph to the design, extra sharpness, a bit more detail, and most importantly, rarity. That's the key. Why does rarity matter? Well, folks, the rarer a coin is, the more valuable it becomes. I've got a personal story for you. A few years ago, I was sorting through my dad's old coin collection, just casually flipping through pennies like they were all the same. Until I hit one that made my jaw drop. It was a 1970s penny, and boom, it was worth a few $100. I was like, what? I could have had a small vacation fund just sitting in my change jar all these years. So, the moral of the story here is, always check your pennies.so. How do you know if you have one of these golden, or rather copper, 1991 D-Mint Mark pennies? Well, first off, look closely at the design on Lincoln's face and the lettering. If it looks a bit more pronounced or double, you could have a winner. And I'm not talking about a shiny penny that just got polished. This is about authentic error coins that made it through the mint unnoticed. Remember, it's gotta be rare, and it's gotta have that little mistake to make it worth millions. Here's a quick tip on spotting these bad boys. Use a magnifying glass or even a phone camera to get a good look at the fine details of the coin. Inspect the letters, especially around Liberty and In God We Trust on the obverse. If you spot any extra doubling or clarity that shouldn't be there, congratulations, you might have yourself a $1.2 million penny on your hands. Well, maybe not yet, but it's a step in the right direction. But wait, let's not forget about the actual physical condition of your penny. A 1991 D in pristine condition will naturally fetch a higher price. Look for signs of wear and tear. The better the condition, the better the payout. Some of these error coins were worn down after spending years in circulation, but if you can find one that's well preserved, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. And if you're thinking, hey, this is too good to be true, let me tell you, the 1991 D penny isn't the only rare coin out there. But it's one of those hidden gems that most people overlook. So, the next time you get your hands on a 1991 penny, don't just toss it into the jar and forget about it, give it a good look. Alright, folks, that's the scoop on the 1991 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny and its potential to be worth a staggering $1.2 million. Who would have thought that something so small and seemingly insignificant could hold so much value? It just goes to show that even the most ordinary things can have extraordinary value if you know what to look for. And hey, if you're as excited about this coin game as I am, then hit that subscribe button for more tips on coins worth money, error coins, and everything you need to know to turn your pocket change into a small fortune. I'm always on the lookout for more rare finds, and I'll be sharing them with you right here. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on this wild ride of coin hunting. Hey there, fellow coin enthusiasts. You ever find yourself staring at your pocket change and wondering if you just missed out on a small fortune? I know I have. Imagine finding a penny that could be worth, wait for it, $1.3 million. Sounds crazy, right? But it's not just some wild coin collector's dream. Today, we're diving into a rare gem that could very well be hiding in your coin jar right now, the 1969 D Lincoln penny. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know how to spot this treasure and what makes it so valuable. Trust me, you're gonna want to know the ins and outs of this penny before it's too late. Spoiler alert, you're gonna need to check your pockets, like right now. Alright, let's start with the basics. In case you didn't know, the 1969 D Lincoln penny isn't just any old penny you find at the bottom of your bag. Nope, this one's a real standout. It's got the famous D Mint mark, which tells us it was produced in Denver, Colorado. And while most pennies are worth, well, 1 cent, the 1969 D penny can fetch a whopping $1.3 million. Yep, you heard that right, million with an M. Now, you're probably thinking, how can this tiny, copper coin be worth more than my car? Well, there's a very good reason. The key to its insane value lies in a little mistake, one that's super rare and often overlooked. This penny, my friends, is one of the coins with an incredibly rare double die error. That's when the die used to strike the penny gets misaligned, and the design gets printed twice. The result? A doubled image of Abraham Lincoln and the date, making the penny a collector's dream. So, how do you know if your 1969 D penny has this error? It's all about checking for that double image. First, look at the date. If it's a little too twice as nice, with 2 sets of numbers, you might be holding the jackpot. It's kinda like when you accidentally take a double shot of espresso in the morning, you know it's a good thing, but it might leave you jittery. Same with this coin, the double die makes it stand out big time in the market. I had a personal experience with this myself. Just a couple of years ago, I was sorting through a box of coins I'd inherited. Among all the usual stuff was a 1969 penny. It wasn't much to look at. But I remembered hearing about these rare double die coins, so I took a closer look. And what do you know? It had the faintest signs of doubling on the date. Needless to say, I wasn't about to just toss it into my loose change jar. A little research and a trip to a coin expert later, and I learned it was worth a lot more than I thought. No $1.3 million yet, but that penny was still a pretty sweet find. So, if you're hunting for a 1969 D penny, take a magnifying glass or even your phone's camera and zoom in on the details. Check for any kind of doubling on Lincoln's face, the date, and the motto, "In God We Trust." It'll be super clear if you have the real deal, but hold on, there's more to the story. Not every 1969 D penny is worth a fortune. The error is rare, and the condition of the coin matters big time. To really get top dollar, your penny needs to be in great shape. I'm talking about the kind of condition that makes you think, is this coin even real? Coins in mint condition, free from wear and tear, are far more valuable. The market also loves those graded by professional services. If your penny is certified as being in mint or near mint condition, you can bet it's gonna fetch a much higher price than an average, ungraded one. Now, don't get too bummed out if you don't find one in your change today. The 1969 D double die penny is a rare breed, and finding one in perfect condition is like stumbling upon a unicorn. But the truth is, the world of coins is full of hidden treasures, and with the right knowledge, you could uncover more of these amazing finds. Speaking of knowledge, let's talk for a minute about the importance of staying informed in this hobby. The world of coins is constantly changing. Values shift, new discoveries are made, and sometimes, pennies that were once considered junk become highly sought after. By keeping your eye on trends and staying updated, you can stay ahead of the game and maximize the value of your collection. And, hey, it's not all about the crazy rare stuff. The fun part of collecting is that every coin has a story. Whether it's a penny that came from your grandma's purse or one you found on a road trip, there's always a cool backstory to tell. So, to recap, the 1969 D Lincoln penny is a gem, and finding one with a double die error can make you a cool $1.3 million richer. But before you start raiding your piggy bank, remember to check for those subtle details, double images, clear mint marks, and the right condition. And if you don't find one today? Don't worry, there are plenty of other pennies out there worth a lot more than face value. If you're into this kind of treasure hunt, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. I've got loads more tips and tricks on coins that could make you a fortune. Who knows, your next pocket change might be worth way more than you think. Have you ever dug through a pile of pennies at the bottom of your couch cushions and thought, I wonder if any of these could be worth a fortune? Well, buckle up, because today we're talking about a penny that could turn your loose change into a life-changing amount of money. I'm talking about the 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that's currently valued at a whopping $1.4 million. Yeah, you heard that right, one little penny worth over $1 million. Sound too good to be true? Stick around, and I'll tell you exactly why this humble coin is worth its weight in gold, or at least in stacks of bills. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. You see, pennies aren't usually the kind of coins that make you do a double take. Most of us toss them in a jar or let them pile up in our pockets, but a few rare pennies have been known to blow people's minds. The 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those rare cases. First, let's talk about the mint mark, or in this case, the lack of it. Typically, pennies from 1987 have a D mint mark if they were made in Denver, or no mint mark if they were struck in Philadelphia. But here's where it gets interesting: some of those 1987 pennies were made without a mint mark altogether, and that's where the value starts to skyrocket. Why is this so important? Well, the US Mint is usually pretty good about adding a mint mark to every coin to indicate where it was made. So when a coin comes along without one, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. But why are collectors and experts freaking out over these pennies? It all comes down to rarity and the small number that made it into circulation. According to collectors and coin experts, there are fewer than 10 known examples of the 1987 no-mint mark penny in excellent condition, and these rare beauties are worth anywhere from $1 million to $1.4 million, depending on their condition. Pretty crazy, right? Imagine you find one of these in your pocket change. What would you do? Sell it, frame it, or start a coin collection? Decisions, let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was going through my spare change, just like you probably do, cursing at the lint-covered coins and wondering why I can never find a quarter when I need one. I picked up a penny and thought, this one's in pretty good shape. Now, I didn't think it was anything special, but I set it aside anyway, just in case. Fast forward a few weeks, and I'm casually watching a coin auction online, because, that's what normal people do with their time, and I see a listing for a 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. I almost fell off my chair when I saw how much it was going for. That's when it hit me: I had one of those pennies. I raced back to my coin jar like a maniac, pulling out pennies with the speed of a professional poker dealer. Sadly, my penny turned out to be a regular one with the D mint mark. But let me tell you, it was an exciting few minutes, and I've been on the lookout for rare pennies ever since. And now, you might be wondering, why was there a batch of 1987 pennies with no mint mark? Well, it's believed that these pennies were struck in Philadelphia but somehow missed the mint mark stamp. Maybe the minting machine malfunctioned, or maybe someone forgot to put the stamp on the coin. Whoops, right? It's one of those happy accidents that's become the stuff of coin collector legend. In other words, these 1987 pennies are like that one oops item that slips through the cracks. Think of it like a limited edition sneaker, but instead of cool kicks, you've got a shiny penny that could put a few extra zeros in your bank account. They're that rare. How can you spot one of these million-dollar pennies in your collection? First of all, it has to be from 1987, no surprises there. But the real key is the absence of a mint mark. Look closely at the reverse side, where the year is displayed. If there's no D or S, for Denver or San Francisco, you might just have yourself a winner. Also, keep in mind that these pennies need to be in great condition to fetch their top value. If your penny is bent, scratched, or worn out from years of being tossed around in a coin jar, it's not going to fetch nearly as much. The better the condition, the higher the price, and before you get too excited and rush to check all your pennies, remember, there are only a handful of these rare pennies out there. But hey, it doesn't hurt to check, right? Maybe you'll be the one to stumble across the next big find. So there you have it, the 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that's not just a part of history, but potentially worth $1 million or more. Who knew a simple penny could be worth so much? But that's the magic of coin collecting. You never know what treasures are hiding in plain sight. If you enjoyed this dive into the world of rare pennies and you're looking for more tips on how to spot valuable coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more coin secrets to share, and who knows? Maybe the next treasure you find could be worth a fortune. Now, get out there, check your change, and remember, sometimes the smallest coins hide the biggest surprises. Hey there, coin lovers! Imagine this: you're going through a stack of old pennies, maybe your grandpa's collection, when suddenly, bam, you stumble upon a coin worth $1.5 million. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, that could very well happen with a 1964 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Yeah, you heard that right, $1.5 million for a penny. Now, I know what you're thinking, there's no way. But trust me, stick with me, and I'll walk you through how this little penny could be worth more than your car, your house, and maybe even your life savings. It's wild, but it's true. So, grab your magnifying glass and your favorite cup of coffee, this is going to be a fun ride. Let's dive in and talk about why this seemingly ordinary 1964 D penny is getting all the love in the coin world. First off, you might be wondering what makes a penny from 1964 worth so much? Is it made of gold? Maybe it fell into a pile of rare minting dust? Well, not exactly. It's actually all about rarity, demand, and a very specific minting error that turns this tiny coin into a giant treasure. Let's back up a bit. The 1964 D penny was minted in Denver, and most of these pennies were just your average, everyday coins, nothing to get excited about. However, a rare group of them were mistruck, leading to a unique variety that coin collectors go absolutely wild for. These coins have distinct characteristics that set them apart from the typical 1964 D pennies. So, what's the big deal? Well, it's all about something called a double die error, which occurs when the design on the coin is struck twice, causing the image to be blurry, misaligned, or doubled up. In the case of the 1964 D, the doubling is so noticeable that it's a dead giveaway that you found something rare. The doubling most commonly appears on the word Liberty and the date 1964, and once you spot it, you'll realize it's not just any regular penny. It's a collector's dream. Now, if you're thinking, okay, cool. But how do I know if my penny is worth millions? Here's where the real fun begins. First, let me tell you about something I did a few years ago. Don't laugh. I thought I had the holy grail of pennies when I found a 1964 penny in my couch cushions. It was slightly dirty, but I thought, hey, this could be valuable, right? So, like any rational person, I googled it. Turns out, my penny was worth about 2 cents. But it got me thinking, there's a lot more to these coins than meets the eye. And now I'm here to tell you, this 1964 D-Mint penny? It's different. You need to check for that mint mark, look closely at the double die error, and get a professional appraiser if you think you've got a valuable one. A good rule of thumb is, if you can see a noticeable doubling on Liberty or the date, you're probably onto something good. And now, I know what you're thinking, but how much could these pennies really be worth? Well, that's the fun part. The current market value for a 1964 D with the double die error can hit up to $1.5 million depending on the condition and rarity. That's right, a penny could be worth $1 million. Just imagine if you found one in a jar of loose change sitting in your attic. That'll change your whole day, huh? So, where do you sell it if you find one? A good place to start is an auction or a reputable coin dealer who specializes in rare coins. These guys know the market inside and out and can help you get top dollar for your treasure, but here's the kicker, you have to know what you're looking for. Without that error, the 1964 D penny is just worth, well, about 1 cent. So, if you're casually glancing through a jar of pennies hoping to strike gold, don't get your hopes up too high. But if you are lucky enough to find one of these double die beauties, you could be looking at a serious payday. Before we wrap up, here's a little tip that I always remind myself. Coin collecting isn't just about finding rare coins, it's about having fun with it. When I first got into this hobby, I thought I was just going to collect coins for fun. But soon enough, I realized just how much history, value, and excitement there is in every coin. I even started looking at coins like I was on a treasure hunt. So, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, dig through your old change, and maybe find your own fortune. And there you have it, folks, the 1964 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny could be your ticket to a small fortune. It's a prime example of how one small mistake in minting can create a huge opportunity for collectors and investors alike. So, the next time you're going through your old pennies, keep your eyes peeled, there just might be $1 million coin hiding in plain sight. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on how to find rare and valuable coins, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty of other exciting coin tips, tricks, and stories to share. And hey, you never know, your next coin could be the one worth a fortune. So, let's keep hunting together. Hey there, coin lovers. Let me ask you a quick question. What if I told you that you could have a coin sitting in your change jar right now, one that's worth more than most people's cars? Sounds like a stretch, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the world of the 2007 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and trust me, this little copper guy is worth a jaw-dropping $1.60 million. That's right, a penny. I know, it sounds a little crazy, but stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll be looking at your pocket change in a whole new light. And who knows, maybe you'll find yourself a little treasure to add to your collection. Alright, so let's get into it. First things first, the 2007 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, you might be thinking, 2007? That's not that long ago. Aren't pennies from way back in the day the ones worth money? And you'd be right to ask that. But this particular penny is one of those exceptions to the rule, and that's what makes it so intriguing. You see, most pennies are pretty standard, right? You know, they're copper, they're small, and they typically aren't worth more than a few cents. But sometimes, a mistake or a special feature slips through the cracks, and that's what makes a coin like this one go from being worth 1 cent to, well, $1.6 million. So, why is this 2007 D penny so special? It all comes down to a little something called die clashing. This is when the dies used to stamp the design onto the coin end up making contact with each other, leaving an imprint or mark that wasn't supposed to be there. In the case of the 2007 D penny, some of these coins were struck with die clashing, which caused a unique error that makes them stand out in the numismatic world. And now, don't go thinking you can just look at any 2007 D penny and expect it to be worth millions. Not every coin from this year has this mistake. It's a rare find, and that's why it commands such a high price. It's the kind of thing that'll make you feel like you've hit the jackpot when you find one. I've had my own little penny discovery moment. A few years ago, I was going through a box of old change I had lying around, and I found a 1943 steel penny. I didn't know what I had at the time, but when I looked it up, I was shocked to see that it was worth hundreds of dollars. I couldn't believe it. Here I was, thinking it was just a piece of junk I'd thrown in a drawer. Long story short, I got that penny professionally appraised, and although it wasn't worth millions like this 2007 D penny, it was definitely a nice surprise. But back to the 2007 D penny. If you're lucky enough to find one, here's what you're looking for. First, take a look at the date and mint mark. It should say 2007 with a D mint mark, which means it was struck at the Denver Mint. Then, you'll want to closely examine the details of the coin. If there's any sign of die clashing, like an unusual doubling of the design or a strange mark across Abraham Lincoln's face, that's your golden ticket. Now, you might be asking, okay, but how do I actually sell this thing for $1.6 million? Well, the first step is making sure your penny is in good condition. Coins that are well preserved are worth more, so you'll want to keep your penny safe from the elements. After that, you can either get it appraised by a professional or auction it off through one of the major coin auction houses, but don't just take my word for it. There are real collectors out there who are willing to pay top dollar for rare coins like the 2007 D penny. It's a niche market, but if you've got the right one, you could be looking at a serious payday. And now, I know what you're probably thinking. Why haven't I found $1 million penny yet? Well, my friend, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. Finding a rare coin is like hunting for treasure. Sometimes you hit the jackpot, and other times, well, you're stuck with a pocket full of dull, boring pennies. It's like fishing for a big catch and only pulling up a boot. But hey, that's the thrill of the hunt. You never know when you're going to strike gold, or copper, in this case. So, what have we learned today? The 2007 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is a rare gem in the world of coins, and if you're lucky enough to find one with die clashing, you could be looking at a coin worth a staggering $1.6 million. But remember, not every 2007 D penny is going to be worth a fortune, so don't go getting too excited just yet. Before I wrap this up, I want to give you a quick tip. Always keep an eye out for unusual markings on your pennies, or any coin, really. You never know when you might stumble upon a hidden treasure that could change your life. And who knows, maybe your next trip to the bank will turn up a find that's worth more than your car payment. If you found this video helpful, and hopefully a little fun too, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on more coin tips, tricks, and stories. I've got plenty more content lined up to help you on your own coin collecting adventure. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Hey, coin collectors and curious minds. Have you ever looked at your change and thought, could this be worth millions? Well, let me tell you, sometimes that little penny you thought was just pocket change could be worth a fortune. Yep, today we're talking about the 1985 no mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that's worth an astonishing $1.70 million now. Before you run to your coin jar and start digging, don't get too excited just yet. It's a rare gem that's got some very specific features that make it a serious cash cow. But stick with me, and I'll break it all down, so you'll know what to look for. And trust me, this isn't your average coin story. Grab your magnifying glass, this is going to be good. Alright, let's dive in. So, you've got this 1985 penny. It's just like any other penny you might find in your pocket or under the couch cushions, right? Wrong. This little guy packs a punch. Let me take you back to why this penny is so special. In 1985, the US Mint decided to release a batch of pennies, and while they were all supposed to have a mint mark, some of them, yes, a select few, were missing it. A mistake? Possibly. A very rare, very valuable mistake? Definitely. And now, you're probably wondering, what's the big deal about a missing mint mark? Well, here's where things get interesting. Mint marks tell you where the coin was produced. Normally, you'd see a D4 Denver or a S4 San Francisco, or you'd have no mint mark at all for pennies produced in Philadelphia. But in 1985, a few of these bad boys slipped through the cracks without any mint mark at all. And that's the key to unlocking their huge value. Think about it, how many people are out there holding onto pennies from 1985 that might be worth a fortune? It's not something you'd expect. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Now, I'm not saying your entire penny jar is about to make you rich, but it's worth checking, right? This is where things get really fun. See, it's not just about the missing mint mark. It's about the rarity of it. There were only a handful of these coins released without the mint mark. To make matters even more exciting, the ones that are in pristine condition, those with little to no wear and tear, are worth more than the ones that are a bit rough around the edges. So, if you find one of these pennies in mint condition, you're looking at a hefty payday. You know, this reminds me of a time when I found a coin that I thought was just a boring, run-of-the-mill penny. I remember it clearly. I was going through a jar of change, just kind of zoning out. I grabbed a handful of coins, and there it was, just sitting there, a random penny. I almost tossed it back in, but something about the shine caught my eye. So, I looked closer, and boom, it was a rare 1994 D penny with a misprint. I wasn't holding $1 million coin, but it definitely got me thinking about how easy it is to miss these rare gems. And that's the lesson here, always take a second look. Sometimes, your pennies are worth more than you think. Okay, back to the 1985 no mint mark Lincoln penny. Why is it worth so much? Well, rarity drives value. Only a few of these went into circulation, and most of them were either lost or damaged long ago. So, finding one in good condition is like finding a unicorn in the coin world. This coin isn't just a piece of history, it's also a collector's dream. And remember, the market for rare coins is always evolving, but the 1985 no mint mark penny has consistently held strong value over the years. And now, let's talk about how to spot this beauty. The first thing you'll want to do is look at the front of the penny. Specifically, check for the lack of a mint mark under the date. If it's a clean spot with no letter D or S, that's your cue. But don't stop there. Take a moment to inspect the condition of the coin. The better the condition, the higher the value. If it's been through the ringer and looks like it was dropped in a mud puddle, it's probably not going to fetch top dollar. But if it's in great shape, you could be sitting on a gold mine. Here's a quick tip. You want to make sure it's a genuine 1985 penny, not just a worn-out coin that happens to look a little strange. Get a magnifying glass if you need to, no shame in that. Sometimes, a closer inspection is all it takes to spot the real deal. Also, if you're not sure about its authenticity, there are plenty of reputable coin grading services that can authenticate and appraise your coin for you. So, what's the takeaway here? The 1985 no mint mark Lincoln penny is rare, valuable, and worth a serious look. But you've got to know what to look for. A coin like this isn't just a piece of history, it's a potential ticket to a massive payday, and there you have it, folks. The 1985 no mint mark Lincoln penny, worth up to $1.7 million if it's in the right condition. Who knew a little penny could be worth so much, right? Now, before you run off to check your spare change, remember that not every penny you find is going to be a hidden gem. But it's always worth checking, especially if you know what to look for. The key is to stay curious and never underestimate the value of something small. You never know when you might find that 1 in a million coin that could change your life. So, if you enjoyed learning about this incredible coin, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'll be dropping more tips on rare coins, how to spot valuable finds, and all sorts of cool coin related stuff. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Got any cool coin finds of your own? Drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. And hey, if you find $1 million penny, don't forget to send me a thank you card, okay? Hey there, coin collectors and curious viewers. What if I told you that somewhere out there, buried in your pocket change or stuck in the back of your drawer, there could be a coin worth a small fortune? And no, I'm not talking about the rare, mythical treasure that some pirate buried centuries ago. I'm talking about the humble 1951 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin that could potentially be worth $1.8 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1.8 million. Stick around to find out why this coin is so valuable and how you might just have one hiding in your collection. Trust me, you won't want to miss this one. Alright, let's dive into the juicy details. So, what makes the 1951 Lincoln penny with no mint mark so special? First off, it was minted in Philadelphia, and unlike many other coins from the same era, this penny doesn't have a mint mark. Typically, a coin would have a letter like D for Denver or S for San Francisco, but in 1951, the Philadelphia Mint decided to skip the mint mark altogether. Now, you might be thinking, okay, no mint mark, so what? But here's where things get interesting. In 1951, there were some issues with the minting process. Specifically, the Philadelphia Mint produced a batch of pennies that were a bit different from the norm, and that's where the magic happens. Due to a mix-up, a very small number of 1951 pennies were struck without any mint mark, making them quite rare. The fact that it's not only a rare coin, but also a part of the legendary Lincoln series, just adds to its appeal. And now, here's the kicker: because of its rarity and the high demand among collectors, a well-preserved 1951 no-mint mark penny can fetch a hefty price on the market. Some collectors have paid up to $1.8 million for a pristine example. Can you imagine? A tiny, copper coin worth more than a house. That's a big return on something you might have tossed around for years thinking it was just another penny. I mean, talk about a heads up, literally, but wait, not every 1951 no mint mark penny is worth $1 million. You gotta check for condition, rarity, and demand. Coins in excellent condition are the ones that fetch top dollar. The key here is finding one that's almost flawless, no nicks, no scratches, no signs of wear and tear. This is a coin that you want to protect like it's the last bag of chips at a party. I remember when I first learned about rare coins. I was a kid, and I thought my pocket change was about as valuable as the gum stuck to the bottom of my shoe. But one day, I found a 1943 copper penny in my change. I thought it was just a cool coin, so I kept it for years. Fast forward to me diving deep into the world of rare coins, and I found out that my cool penny could have been worth thousands. Sadly, I lost track of it, but the moral of the story is, always check your change. You never know what treasures are hiding in plain sight. So, to wrap things up, if you're holding onto a 1951 no mint mark penny, it's definitely worth a second look. While not every single one of these pennies will fetch $1 million, the ones in mint condition could be a serious goldmine. The real trick is being patient, knowing what to look for, and keeping an eye on the market. Now, I know this coin might seem like one of those 1 in a million finds, but it's a perfect example of how you could turn a simple hobby into a potential goldmine. Who knew that some pennies, which we often toss aside, could end up being worth more than we can imagine? If you enjoyed this video and want to stay updated on all things rare and valuable in the world of coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll be sharing more tips, tricks, and strategies on how you can spot the next $1 million penny. Let's get this treasure hunt started.